I feel the need to affirm anybody watching this. You matter.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter the situation.
Facts.
It doesn't matter what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You matter. There is nothing in this world that should ever make you tell yourself, I don't belong here.
Facts.
Or I don't want to be here. You matter.
Facts.
Talk to somebody. Shoot, if you see this and DM us,
right?
You could talk to us.
Hey,
we gonna
man.
get you in the right direction.
Facts.
You know
I will stay up, talk to you whenever you want. Just hit us up for sure, man.
For real, man.
We need to put that at the beginning of the show. You matter. You matter before anything. Just
anything.
Yeah. Before we get into this, you matter.
I got. Ag Nation.
What it do?
What's going on? Mars.
Reem. Yes.
We back. Episode 5. This is a milestone.
Facts.
What's a milestone?
Mm-hmm.
You probably like, why is episode 5 a milestone? Because a lot of people don't even make it past episode 1.
Facts.
They have to keep reshooting it. I heard somebody say one time, man, I've created my first YouTube video for the 10,000th time.
Yeah.
Because they never post. So the fact that we made it here, we celebrating all the small wins.
For sure.
You know
And
what I mean?
I give a shout out to Mars because he keeps me motivated, especially like posting on TikTok and posting period. I'm not a very vibrant or vocal person.
That's live.
But I'm getting more into it, right? So today we're going to talk about something that is very, very serious, right? It's a little grim. We're talking about suicide awareness, right? I'm pretty sure most of us out there, most of you out there are familiar with DJ Twitch and the news of his passing last month. And, from all of the people in his life, they said he was a vibrant guy, very loving father, husband. And it was such a travesty to see, the mother come out, his wife come out and talk about she didn't even see the signs and no one knew.
Yeah.
So today we're just going to talk about some of the things to look out for and how to help our fellow, shipmates and what do they call them in the army? Soldiers and
they call. Dang, what do they call them? Because the shit is the shipmate.
Yeah.
Battle.
Yeah, battle,
That's
but
the
yeah.
Battle.
Basically, all our fellow military members and how to avoid, suicide or help suicidal thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. So, before we even get started, we're gonna be talking about stats and numbers, but I want you to keep in mind that the purpose of this topic is to keep a focus on being proactive and preventing it.
Facts.
But sometimes you have to hear the numbers so that you understand the severity of it.
Amen.
When you're talking about suicide, 1 is too many already. So the fact that some of these numbers are in the double digits, we have to do a better job from the top and from the bottom to counteract this travesty.
Yeah. As we discussed, most of these numbers of our military members are not dying as a result of war. They're dying because of suicide.
Because of internal battles.
Right. Mental battles. And, we both talked before we got on air today, and we were talking about how, we looked at suicide as framed to us. It was like, okay, you got to be mentally weak in order to succumb to that. But it is, I after going through some military training, right, which is crazy, I can attest to saying that this helped me see it clearly. The way it was put was these people are going through pain, right? They just wanted to stop. They're going through so much pain. It's like you stub your toe or you cut your finger off and you just want the bleeding to stop. You just want the pain to stop. So they look for a immediate action to a temporary problem, right? Most times it's temporary, right? They look for a permanent solution to a temporary problem, right? So it is alarming.
Right. So, I mean, where do we even start with the conversation about suicide awareness? Because a lot of people, they try to stay away from the conversation, but this is something that needs to be talked about just to make people not only aware, but to keep the awareness high.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Don't sleep on it.
Be suicide prevention aware at all moments so that you know what to look for and stuff like that. So where would you start that conversation out?
Definitely, I need to. If I can equate this to something that's relatable for me is like sports, right? For your GOAT conversation, I need to hear some stats. Give me some numbers so I can see clearly. If I'm not watching the game, or if I'm talking about your money, how I want to be introduced and convinced that this is an actual problem, or this person is a GOAT, or you should do this with your money. Give me some stats, right? So I think by hearing these numbers, just that number, that 30,000 deaths since 9/11, and only 7,000 military members have died through the hands of combat is alarming. I got 45,979 deaths in 2020. That is nearly one death every 11 minutes.
Hey.
Then they said on average, a suicide is attempted every 31 seconds in America, right? And here is a more alarming, this is what really shook me to my core, right? Veterans are 20% of the adult suicides in America. 20% of the all suicides in America, but they only make up 8.5% of the America's population.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So what's really going on, right? Is it?
Mm-hmm.
I think we've had a stigma of mental health, right? And then now in the last couple of years, we've actually started focusing on it, right? We're starting to combat, but we should have paid attention to the signs a lot sooner, right? Before all these good people decided to take their own lives.
Absolutely.
Right. It is man.
Right. So let me just from the Navy perspective, I'll tell you, right, we're just gonna go through a couple numbers and that's it. We ain't gonna go crazy on the numbers aspect because we need to get into what signs to look for, how to help with stuff like that. So 2021, the Navy's active component, a total of 59 sailors took their lives. That is a huge number. And then the reserve component of 2021, 10 sailors. So this is why we're having this conversation, because we need those numbers to be zero.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So then when you go into, well, how does somebody even begin to think of suicide? We're talking about stressors.
Right. What is weighing down on your mental so bad that you decide that, okay, the answer to this is taking my own life. Right? We got some personal stressors and we got some professional stressors, right? Things that are weighing on your life, but they're in like two different sectors, right? So some of your professional stressors could be your chain of command, the people you work with, right? You've had those nagging bosses, right, on the outside civilian world, but like in the military, it's a little different because that guy kind of controls when you go home. That guy or girl controls when you go home, when you see your family, when you have downtime. How much is your workload?
Yeah.
We got working hours. Man, have y'all ever worked with someone that didn't want to go home, or work for someone that didn't want to go home, and they just kept you there all day? Everyone can attest to that, right?
Everybody.
And sometimes, right, I know I've had it on the ship that you reach your breaking point very fast because you get overloaded, you get overworked, right? We talked about what arduous duties before we came on. We were talking about some of the things that could push someone to the edge.
See, I don't know why, and I would love if y'all know an air traffic controller, or you are an air traffic controller, because I heard that they have the highest, or one of the highest suicide rates, and I would like to know, what is it about that duty that causes so many people to do that? And then we got to talking too as well about recruit division commanders, drill sergeants. On, that is a strenuous duty. For those of you who are unaware, they are literally responsible for waking the division up and putting the division asleep before they get to the FET phase. And we're talking about Navy boot camp. I'm not sure about Army and Marine and Air Force boot camp. So that means they're with you at least 20 plus hours a day. Yeah. And then they have to get back home. If they have families, they have to tend to the families as well. But they're spending this much time with the families and this much time
with
their sailors.
recruit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that is literally taking time away from their decompression period, right? So they're always mission ready. Always. I can speak to the air traffic controller side, right? Okay. Because a couple of my friends are ABHs, ABFs, whatever, and ABFs work underneath the deck plates, whatever. They work in the pump rooms. They wear purple shirts. Some of the yellow shirts, green shirts, white shirts. Those are the people on the flight deck, right? So they are literally doing flight operations, and they have very little time to sleep. I still don't know to this day how this is authorized, right? How it works in the military, I don't know. They can definitely attest to the fact that it is grueling, right? I used to go up there to get training when I got my airpin, right? And I would see them like sleep in the P-ways and sleep on bundles and little different cutouts. And, flight operations will last like 12, 13 hours a day, right? So they have it a very rough life.
Real quick, let me double dutch in there. Mm-hmm. So I got a list here of the top 10 jobs with the highest suicide rates. Mm. Now let me know and then also in the comments, let me know if you even thought that these jobs would be that stressful. Mm-hmm. Number 10 is pharmacists. 9, farmers. 8, lawyers. Electricians. Real estate agents. Financial services. Veterinarians. Police officers. Dentists. Medical doctors being number 1.
Wow.
Those are reported as being the top 10 jobs with the highest suicide rates.
Wow.
And I'm a real estate agent.
Right. So, yeah. Like, how stressful is it to close a deal?
I mean, I could attest to that. It's very stressful. So the most important thing when it comes to being a real estate agent for most agents is making the money. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, we are here to help you get into that house. We want to see you get into the house. We're not trying to just push you into any house. Yeah. But to do a whole bunch of work, because I had it before where I done showed multiple houses. I'm driving different cities. And if you know anything about the 757, you got the HRBT. I'm driving back and forth just for you to not have a good feeling and then say you don't want to buy the house a couple days before closing. Now, granted, I'm in a different situation because being a real estate agent, that's not my only source of income. But, yeah, I can definitely see the stress there.
So I was listening to that list and I thought about, like, doctors. Their whole mission is to save lives and prevent further injury. And they're like number 1 on the suicidal list. Right. That's crazy.
If any of the medical shows I ever watched are accurate, their life revolves around being at the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, man.
And I'm somebody who I don't have a passion anymore to be all I can be for my job. You know what I mean? I want to be all I could be for my life and my family. Yeah. So if I ever go back to working a 9 to 5, I'm here to do the standard, and that's it. I'm really not here to go above and beyond, and that's not saying that I don't have good work ethic, but I have other things in my personal time that I'm putting a lot of my work ethic in. Yeah,
and that's where the military comes into play as far as demanding that you be mission first. Mission is minded first, and you're at your job, you're there. They always tell us in the Navy, you're a sailor 24/7, right? So like no matter what you do, you always gotta keep that in mind. They can call you while you're on vacay, right? Or if you're out having a good time, hey man, you gotta come in and number 2 diesel's down.
On that note, real quick, shout out to all the chain of command that understand in order for the mission to come first, the sailor has to come first.
Facts. Mentally prepared, yo.
I've had, chain of command say to me, it's sailor first, family, then mission. Because if none of that stuff is right at home, then you won't be doing the mission.
Right. You can't do the mission. That's true.
Man.
Yep. Another one of the stressors, we were talking about sleep deprivation. That is huge. That is huge. There is a test they do on people when they're sleep deprived, right? They literally start to morph mental pictures and images in their head after a certain amount of hours without sleep.
I can agree.
Right, so you get a whole different feel, you become a whole different person without the sleep, right? Your experience, you've had that happen?
Yeah. First of all, boot camp.
Oh, yeah.
Boot camp So in case you've never been to Navy boot camp before,
Mm-hmm.
the whole goal of the first 48 hours is for you not to sleep.
Mm.
They're not telling you this, of course, but there's no like if you close your eyes, hey, wake the F up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you nodding off, stand up, drink water, boom.
Yeah, that's tough.
The whole goal for boot camp is to be under duress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they want to break you down, build you back up. So I understand the bigger scheme. But heck yeah, I used to hallucinate, have crazy dreams in there, like super vivid dreams just from being sleep deprived.
That's one of the big ones right there, man. That plays on your mind. We also got advancements and reprisals. So advancements, people not making the rank or to the next pay grade like they think they deserve, or they probably should, do deserve, or another guy's beating them out. Right.
And you know what? On a civilian aspect too, because I mean, like we said, we just seen medical doctors, lawyers. If you're somebody, especially the corporate ladder, you're trying to climb that corporate ladder. And I know people personally who their goal was to climb the corporate ladder. And then after getting like 4 steps up, you get kicked off the ladder. You get let off, you get fired. I could definitely like so much stress, especially you got a family.
Yeah. I see the veterans, man, like people who've transitioned out the military and they go into the corporate world, and it's not as, even though people we clown on the military and the rank system and all that stuff, you really kind of dictate how well you in most situations how well you advance in the military, right? You kind of do that yourself, in my opinion. You know what to do, right? We don't need to go down that ladder, but anyway, people who transition out and they think it's going to be like that, and they find out the corporate world is dog eat dog, or it's more buddy than you think. Like, it's a shocker, right? And then you're not able to provide or get that respect that you think you should be getting or whatever. And that that weighs heavily on your mentals, right?
Yep.
One of the last ones is reprisal. Now, what is reprisal, right? So let's say if you tell that your command is doing something wrong, you go to a higher up or go to a different echelon. Well, sleeping with the seaman or whatever. They're not doing things according to the book. And they tell you, well, we'll handle it in-house. And when you get back to your division, your command, they start treating you different. They're putting you on more watches, putting you on arduous duty, making you clean up. That can weigh heavily when they turn you out, when you get outcasted, right? Everybody wants to feel wanted or belong in some facet, right? So when you feel alienated, sometimes you can tend to have those thoughts of, I'm not worthy, or they don't like me, I'll never be accepted, I'm this, or you start feeding into the things they're telling you, right? And you become that thing, and then your solution, sadly in this case, is suicide, right? So that was most of the stuff on the professional side. Feel free to comment. We may have left some things off. Yeah. Things we're not thinking of. Please feel free to comment, right? We'll touch them.
I want to ping on that too, because one phrase that I just learned about was quiet quitting, right? But on the opposite side of that, it's called quiet firing. So what that looks like is, let's say you worked a 9-to-5 job where it's hourly. They're giving you less and less hours. They're giving you the harder duty. You're doing more of the things nobody else wants to do. When you start asking for help, start asking for a pay raise, you keep getting the runaround. So a lot of that becomes normal in the military. And the biggest difference from civilian side to military is I can't just get up and quit in the military. So a lot of people, they have to live a couple months with quiet firing because they fear reprisal.
Yes, that is definitely a thing, man. I can tell you 100%, right, that's happened, and I won't go too much into detail, right? But military, they're trying to do better with our, command surveys, or the upper echelon is walking around and interviewing and talking to the the deck plate people. They're trying to do better, but they got to take a round turn on that, man.
Huge round turn. So then we also talked about personal. And here's a few things, and we're going to elaborate on all of them. So, number one, finances. It goes without saying. Religion sometimes could play a part, and I'm going to let Kareem ping on that. Relationships, parenting, distant family, and then one more serious topic, is, you know, being sexually assaulted. That's definitely impersonal, or that could be professional as well. And you see a lot of people, you know, with that just alone, it takes such a hit on you as a person.
Yeah, that sexual assault one has so many tiers to it because you got reprisal, you got the quiet firing and quiet quitting, right? You have like reprisal, alienation. So
chain of command, because it could be it could be so many things.
Working hours, substance abuse could play into that too. Where you start abusing alcohol or drugs, prescription drugs. So that sexual assault is so heavily tiered with different factors, man. Personal finances, man. If you are not mission ready, if your mind is not right, if your things are not covered at home on all bases, especially finances, man, there's no way you can do the mission. There's no way, you know. So I advise, we're going to give out resources a little later on in the segment, but I'm going to hit on this hard. If you are not financially in a good place, please reach out, talk to someone. Please reach out. There's a slew of numbers, man. I'm just going to say this one, the Navy Marine Relief Corps Society. They're phenomenal, right? I've used them before. I'm no stranger to Marine Corps Society. And they're there to help. They will stop that bleeding financially, right? Make a plan. When we talk about religion, now many of you may say, oh, how's religion flowed into suicide awareness, right? If you have a strict religious background or basis, you've been brought up, let's say, Protestant, Christian, and you start living in this world as an adult and you're introduced to these different things, you may feel like you're not stacking up or you're not right. We can talk about another one that hits a lot of people out there. Homosexuality, right? Feeling like you were raised in a Christian household, you're not supposed to be homosexual, and you can't stack up to that standard. Now you feeling you're not worthy, or you're just evil, you're not good enough, and the thoughts of suicide start circling, man. It's a very, very critical one of personal.
And while we talking about this, I feel the need to affirm anybody watching this. You matter. It doesn't matter the situation. Facts. It doesn't matter what's going on. You matter. There is nothing in this world that should ever make you tell yourself, I don't belong here.
Facts.
Or I don't want to be here. You matter.
Facts.
Talk to somebody. Shoot, if you see this and DM us,
right?
You could talk to us. We're gonna get you in the right direction.
Facts. I will stay up, talk to you whenever you want. Just hit us up for sure, man.
For real, man.
We need to put that at the beginning of the show. You matter. You matter before anything. Just anything. Yeah. Before we get into this, you matter.
I got you.
Yeah.
You talked about relationships.
I didn't. Relationships, good one. Relationships. That's a multi-tier one too.
I'm bust it down.
All right. Let's say you're not happy in a relationship. Okay. Your wife or your husband may not make you feel the best. You're going through abuse. You're with someone you thought was different, or they start changing up, after y'all get married. You're in a situation or a relationship that you don't think in your mind or from your upbringing is correct. We talked about homosexuality. It's a multi-tiered one, man. They had this their poster when we go use the heads in the military about seeking help, because it's one of the biggest factors of suicide. Seeking help if you're in an abusive relationship.
Yep.
Right? And that's multifaceted. Like, that is one we have to dive deep in, and you definitely need a person who is equipped specifically in that area to help, because that is that's a big one. And
when you're talking about, if you're in an abusive relationship, the first one that comes to mind, of course, is physical. But please understand, you can be in an emotionally abusive relationship, a mentally abusive relationship.
Yes.
I'm somebody that's been there before. I've been hit before. And you have somebody day in, day out who you expect to love you and to take care of you, cherish you, but they speak down on you, they spit on your name, they stomp on you every day, and it does a number on your spirit, on your personality, on your confidence and everything. So if that's you, definitely get help and get around people who know how to affirm you and start pouring that positive energy back into you.
I think that is so essential to have surround yourself with people
A village.
like-minded or better.
Bag Nation, what's
right,
up?
Right? You need to have people where they are going to, like you said, reaffirm who you are and tell you positive things, right?
That's right.
Never feel like any situation you get into is definite. You have the power to change. You are somebody. Never feel like any situation you get into is definite or final, because it's not. You have the power to change. You have the will to change. You're going to have the help, right?
That's right.
So we talked about it, man.
Let's ping on parenting, right?
Parenting.
So parenting, another big one. Especially when you expect it to parent with somebody, but then it doesn't go that way, and that person disappears, or that person doesn't want to be there. Now you left by yourself.
Yeah,
that's one aspect. Another aspect with the military is we already talked about working hours are strenuous duty, but then even more time being away from your family now. That can be tough because you want to spend more time with your kids. You're feeling like imposter syndrome, right? As a parent, like, am I doing this right?
Right.
Do my kids actually love me?
Yeah.
Do I need to get out? How, all this stuff causes stress on you.
Yeah.
Definitely.
At the end of the day, you got to do what's right for you, right?
Yep.
So weigh your options. If you're in the military and you're thinking it's too much to handle and parent, and you make that call, that is okay. It is okay. You're not a failure, right? I read an article the other day about there's this young black lady, single mother. I think she was falling behind on bills or whatever, and she killed herself. She jumped on the railroad tracks and she ended it. But the stresses of life, people, they're so slept on, man. And there's so many people out there without the necessary resources to get through that mental period of anguish. When you're going through pain, like we talked about. They just wanted to stop, so they resort to drastic means, man. We'll never stop pushing this, right? If I could push it every show, I'm gonna push it, right? You matter, you are somebody, right? And we're here to help, right? We'll definitely touch on the resources for different military branches, but
we gotta do. I always thought it'd be a good idea. People listen to podcasts or listen to motivational speeches. A lot of people don't know how to do affirmations.
And that's so big.
But you know what I mean?
So
like,
big.
Just give I have an uncle who's in prison, and I was just like, we catching up. How you doing? Whatever. And I'm like, how you staying in good spirits? And he like, I just try to do it. And I'm like, well, are you doing affirmations? Didn't really understand what they were. Didn't really understand how to do them. I think we should drop like a video.
So affirmations.
Yeah, so we're gonna put that in the works. I think y'all deserve that, because some people need guidance. Like, I needed guidance in how to meditate, because when you think of meditating, you think somebody sitting down, crisscross applesauce, eyes closed, and humming, or at least that's what I thought of it. But somebody was like, nah, just start here. It was like, just start with closing your eyes. If you could be in the dark, do that, and just breathe. Focus on the rise and fall of your chest and shoulders. If your mind starts to drift off the other stuff, come right back to the rise and fall of your chest and shoulders and just breathe. And I was like, wow. And you build on that. So with the affirmations, I think it's important. We just give people starter affirmations just to start with, and then you build up. Because now my affirmation, I was like, I'm the motherfucking GOAT. You know what I mean? Like,
you got to. You got to. I told one of my friends back a couple years ago, I was like, yo, every morning I wake up, I go, I'm beautiful, I'm black, I'm handsome, I'm rich, I'm wealthy, I'm smart. Like, I go in this, and I'll say this about 100 times, not even counting how many times I'm saying it, but I say it a lot. What people don't understand is there's so much power in words. And we're not one of those podcasts that go be touching, conspiracy theories and stuff like that. But this is so true. The CIA docs that released recently, they talked about words having power, right? So just believe that your words have power. Affirm that you are okay. And I know it's more to it than that, right? If you have depression and stuff like that. But definitely reaffirm that you are somebody. You are loved, right? You're worthy.
For real. I need to see those documents, by the way.
It's out there, man. They declassified them. But so let's talk about something, right?
All right, let's go.
So we talked about the stressors. So let's talk about ways to identify these stressors, right? How they going to show up, right? We broke it down in the self-aid buddy aid to combat those. But so let's see. When we're talking about our sailors or our soldiers or our airmen, when they're coming into work and they start to fall off of their trend, right? You see someone who was normally boisterous, and they start to be reclusive, right? And not really responding.
Good words.
Right? Or either coming there normally AJ squared away with their uniform, but they coming in and they got the little bacon on their collar, their hair's messed up, they like they brush their teeth. These are some warning signs, right? Don't knock them off. If you see any change into the rhythm of that person, because we're all in the military, we're very observant, I believe, right? We're taught to be observant, right? Notice certain things. And this is your job as leaders. If you're in the fleet, you're in the service, this is your job as leaders to recognize everyone's rhythm and see where a pattern is starting to, okay, well, this dude normally is like this. He ain't doing this. Go inquire. Man, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to share something with y'all, right? So I had a close encounter with suicide. I remember this like it was yesterday. We had a man overboard drill at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? I got off watch. I hit the gym. I was in the midst of my rep. I came down. I'm feeling good. I got that little pump going on, and we're all mustered. I'm looking at everybody's face, and everyone's like tired and sleepy. And I looked to my right, and it was a guy I boarded with to get my EXW pin. And I looked to my right, and he was just standing there, hands in his pocket, looking. And something was in me, like pushing me. Go pick him up. Go bear hug him and pick him up. Play, because I'm a, playful person sometimes. So I was like, I don't want this dude to kick my ass, right? Like I'm not gonna do it. So I didn't do it. Someone was telling me, go pick him up, tell him you love him, just shake him, do something crazy. The next morning, I'm doing a boat report, 7 o'clock in the morning. Me and a guy named Cantley, we're doing a boat report, and we hear security alert. Boom. They have MAs go, and they secure the forward part of the ship. We heard the bullseye get called out, right? That's the frame of where the compartment, the shop is. And we're like, oh, snap, that's forward 0212. So we're running over there. We're not going to get through, but we run over there. We want to see, if anybody got hurt or whatever. And we found out that day that guy that was standing next to me hung himself in the 0212 plant. And every now and again, I'm like, damn, if I would have just picked him up, like, who's to say he would have still done it or not? But I lived with that for a while. Right? I lived with that for a while. So, yeah, recognize, listen to the voices in your head. Don't be afraid to step out and be out of normal. I'm not saying be crazy, and go shake them and, the things that was happening to me, but be intrusive.
Be subtle. Be direct. If you feel like somebody may have that thought, ask them directly. Are you thinking about harming yourself? Are you thinking about killing yourself? Ask that directly. Because if you dance around it, they're not going to answer it. But if you be direct, then you pay attention to the body language, to facial expressions. No matter what the words say, you pay attention to that stuff. Some other things you could look at, and we're not saying just be nosy in people's lives, but if it happens to come up in conversation, or you see it somehow, don't just overlook it. Relationship issues, which could be a divorce, separation, or a breakup. Those always sometimes, lead to bad instances.
Yeah.
Transitioning, retirement, PCSing, which changing the duty station, or discharging. Now, if you heard me say retirement, you're like, well, why would somebody want to do that? Understand that a lot of people who retire from the military joined when they were 18. All they know is the military.
Facts.
Going into the civilian world is daunting to them.
Yeah.
And they're not sure what they're going to do, how they're going to get by, or whatever the case may be. And a lot of times, upper chain of command, when they retire, you're used to being on top of the totem pole.
Yeah. But
when you enter the civilian world, you go right back down to if not the bottom, then midway. Yeah. You're no longer on top anymore.
Right.
So, preparation.
Yeah.
Preparation in that. Current or pending disciplinary or legal action. So that could look like somebody who got in trouble going to Captain Mass, or you get in trouble at work, or you get a DUI, something like that, and you don't know how to handle the consequences. Right. You know what I mean? They don't know how to handle the consequences, and they think in the moment the best option is for me to go.
Right. They don't want to face that shame. They don't want to face the repercussions. Man,
even in that situation, you still matter because that one either bad decision or mistake, that does not define you.
Right.
That does not. That one little piece of history in your long life does not matter. It is minuscule.
Yes, man. Yes.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. All right. Financial problems. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you a story right now. I'll never forget. I always tell people like this. I'll never forget seeing the dash in front of my numbers with the red font. Mm-hmm. And it's like I'm in the negative.
Yeah.
And my car, I barely got gas in it. Still got to drive home. And you definitely think about some crazy things. It's like, dang, how am I gonna survive?
Yeah.
I still got 13 days left
to payday, right?
To pay.
Yo, let me tell you something, right? And this is just being unequipped and not knowing the resources, right? Because had he known that he could have went to Fleet Family Support Center and got $1,000 quick assist loan. Back then it was like 400 or 300, whatever. Yeah. But now they upped it to like 1,000. 1,000. Right.
By the way, real quick, we are working to have a representative come from Navy Marine Relief Corps Society. Mm-hmm. We want them to expound on all of the things that they provide for everybody. Please continue.
Yeah, shout out to them, man. Like for real.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, they help in a lot of ways, but definitely like being unequipped. So a lot of these people who are feeling this anguish and this pain, why we're telling you to reach out is because they don't have the resources, right? Or they may not be familiar with the resources. They may have heard them.
That's right.
Right, but they don't know like how they're gonna help them there. So these problems, man, are feeling, not worthy or financial or religious or relationship. Like I tell you, one of the worst feelings in the world I went through was a breakup that I initiated. How stupid, right? But I initiated it and I felt like dog, S-H-I-T. I felt bad.
Hold on, this episode not about relationships,
right?
Because he saved this for this one. So you initiated it, but then you felt bad.
I initiated the breakup and I felt bad.
All right, yeah.
For doing it, right?
Can you elaborate?
Yeah, so like I told her, I don't want to be together anymore, and we went our separate ways. But after a time, I was like, you know what? I still miss her. Let me go back, whatever. And it wasn't there for me to come back to, and I felt like, damn, like I thought you said,
I'm going crazy,
right? Crazy. And so, I, honestly, in that time, I never really had a heartbreak. But that would quantify as I was thinking some dark stuff. And to be frank, I am sure almost everyone has a suicidal thought or thoughts of suicide.
I agree.
Right? And I'm not saying you're weak for doing it.
You're not weak.
But we've had those thoughts.
You're human. You're real.
Right. But I want y'all to understand that if I would have went with that thought, right, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have my beautiful son. I wouldn't have my wife. I wouldn't have my house. Like, don't make a permanent decision on temporary issues and temporary problems to get over the hump, because it's not sustainable. Think about all the people you're leaving. And for those of you who are, I don't have anyone, call me. You got me. You got us. Right? You got us.
You got Boots in the Bag. You got Bag Nation. Right. You got Mars, and you got Reem.
Facts, man. Just not saying it, man. Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Let's talk. We talked about some ways to identify it, right? Like, we talk about that battle rhythm or that rhythm anyway. If you see that stuff get off kilter, off hinge, like, I want you to be intrusive. Don't be crazy and, why are you feeling? No, come with some tact, right? Be professional if you have to be, but be intrusive. You saw the numbers. We quoted the numbers. There are way too many deaths by suicide. It is it's alarming.
I like the way you put that too. I like the way you put that because too many times people say they committed suicide, and that's an attacking phrase. You know what I mean? It make it seem like what they did was terribly wrong, and they should be condemned for that. When you die by suicide, we should really care more. Should care more.
Yeah, because it was demonized, right? I want to say all the way up until like 2015, 16. Like it was looked at as like weakness, like how we approached it. Like, get those guys out, send those guys to medical, and then they'll be deemed psychologically unfit and taken out of the fleet.
Easier, right? Yeah.
But we understand the realms of mental health and the need for a steady mind, sound mind, in order to have a sustainable, future. So, let's talk about some self-aid things you could do. So we talked about meditating, right? I may get canceled for this, but you could turn to religion.
Okay, you
You
scared
could
me.
turn to
I ain't know
religion.
what you was
Yeah.
about to say.
May get canceled for that, but turn to religion, right? If you believe in God, read your Bible, go to church, right? Talk to somebody. That just expands your resources, right? So if you go into church, right, you got different people in the community in that church setting that can talk you through your times and may help you out with what you're needing help in, right?
Yeah, I'm not. So I'm not a religious person, but I do believe that everybody should have a reference point, somewhere you could look back to for guidance. So it may not be, religion. It may just be a set of morals that you follow.
Right. Yeah. Governing principles, right?
Yeah.
So. Self-aid. What else? You work out.
Yeah.
It's a very big stress reliever.
I think prioritizing self-care is at the start. Prioritizing self-care and maximizing self-value. Value yourself to a certain point where you couldn't see yourself ever thinking of that.
Facts. No matter what you're going through.
Yep.
No matter what you're going through. I can't stress that enough. What else? What we got? Working out, religion.
Get involved in the community. So church is one way you could get involved and have a sense of community fellowship. But if it's not that, it could be anything. It could be working out at the gym and building, little relationships at the gym. It could be skating at a skate club. Anything.
Yeah.
Just, get somewhere where people are going to enjoy your presence and you're going to grow these relationships so that when the times come, you have people to go to, or you have people to hold you up like, hey, I'm here if you need me.
Yeah. When I had my lapse in judgment, right, during my breakup, one of the things that helped me is I dove deeper into work, right? And I had no choice. I was I'm in the military on deployment, so like I had to do the work, but I became, a master at the craft, right? Created different systems, unlike I've ever seen myself do before while I was employed in the Navy. But I dove deep into work and took my mind off of that pain, right? It was still there, but it was faint. It would come up and creep up every now and again, but that helped me. And I worked out, I played the video game. I found ways I gotta take my mind off it. So I would suggest finding something, your niche, or something that takes your mind off of the pain.
Off the top of my head, as a man, as anybody, it could be video games, it could be playing in makeup. I know a lot of women, doing their face is stress relieving. It could be reading, going for a walk, going for a jog, going to the gym, meditating, praying, talking, having conversation. I'm somebody, I value interactions with people. So sometimes I might just need a conversation, or hey, let's go get something to eat or something where I know we're gonna share laughs, whatever, and I'll come back a little less stressful. I mean, so we do wellness checks every now and again. So like, hey man, you good? You all right? Like, strap in, and that creating that environment and that community, right? If you're listening to this and you don't have it, start that community. If you're not having suicidal thoughts, or you're not in a pain of mental anguish and pain, start that community with your friends, right? Hit them up, ask them if they're okay. Reach out. Some of the times we talked about all the signs. Sometimes they don't have signs. And we're being real. Sometimes you won't even know. It's the happiest guy. He's smiling, or she's happy. Seems like she has it all. She's beautiful, nice car, and they're hurting inside. So some of the times the signs won't come to fruition. So what you have to do is, if we're talking about being aware, reach out, talk to them, ask them if they're okay. Like, hey, you good? Like, how are you feeling? How's your mentals doing? Like, just go a little step further. You good? How is your mental? How are you feeling today mentally? Are you okay? You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you may get a BS answer, but the fact that you put it out there, right? And if you keep that, every so often, eventually they'll come forward. Eventually they're like, you know what? This happened. They'd be like, okay, cool. Let's talk about how can we make this better, right? Sometimes, right, one thing I learned as a parent, I teach my son in two different ways, directly and indirectly. Certain things I'm going to say, hey, do it this way because of this. Other things he needs to just see me do. Quick example is opening my wife's car door. He needs to see me render that type of respect and honor for her.
Yeah.
You know, without even being said, he does it now. Yeah. So when you reach out to somebody and you say, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? Have a goal of like, it doesn't matter if they respond or not, but I need them to know that I'm here. They need to know that they have an outlet.
Facts.
Whether they respond or they give you a BS answer, they need to see you do that type of stuff to build rapport.
Facts. That's so helpful, man. Be there. Be there.
You know what I mean?
If you or anyone you know are having suicidal thoughts, please refer to one of these resources we're about to call out, all right? So we got 988. Right, that is a textable number. You can SMS them. Right, it's a suicide and crisis lifeline. That's nationwide. Right, you have your suicide prevention coordinator in your specific command. Right, so reach out to them. Leaders, if you're watching this, make sure that your the people have this information. Right, put that out. This should be put out everywhere, but we need to get abreast on that. Right, everyone put out that information. You have Military One Source, all right? Great facet. I've used them myself. They're great. Fleet and Family for the Navy, for my Navy people. And
I think Fleet and Family universal. I think all branches, anybody active duty, service member.
Yeah, okay. Yep. Am I missing anyone that I think? And please feel free to comment below if you have any other sources. Did
you get the civilians right?
Yeah, the 988 is the SMS.
Oh, suicide. So civilians and military could do 988.
Yes.
All right, bet. And with that being said, please understand, no matter the time, place, what happened, what you're going through, you absolutely, without question or a shadow of a doubt, matter.
Facts.